Good evening. Good evening. That's better. Tonight, as Mary Lewis said, we have three speakers. And without further waffling or ado, our first speaker is Vickie Hershberger, the lady closest to me. She is a wellness educator who received her master's degree in clinical holistic health education from John F. Kennedy University in Orinda, California. She's certified as a professional interactive imagery guide through the Academy of Guided Imagery and is also a certified clinical hypnotherapist. She currently coordinates the Health and Healing Program for Torrance Memorial Medical Center. This program focuses on integrating complementary medicine with traditional Western medicine and includes classes in senior fitness, yoga, tai chi, chair yoga, meditation, and guided imagery. It also includes a therapeutic bodywork program which offers Reiki, healing touch, craniosacral therapy. I hope you're going to explain all this stuff. Urban Zen therapy, and pregnancy lymphatic oncology and facial massage. Okay. Good grief. Her passion is helping people find avenues to take responsibility for their health by finding ways to deal with their stress. And that certainly makes sense for this evening. This inspired her to create the class, How to Beat Everyday Stress, which she teaches at Torrance Memorial and has presented to corporations throughout the Bay Area. Her next series starts next Wednesday, January 23rd. For more information about any of these programs, see the tables, all the information on the tables there in the back. Without further ado, here is Vickie Hershberger.
Sorry about that, but before Vickie speaks, we would like to thank a big thank you to all our vendors. 3 yoga teachers, I don't know who they are. 1 Tai Chi, 1 Sounder Sleep, 1 Meditation, 4 Energy Workers, dancing to the oldies but goodies. Thank you.
And now, Vickie Hershberger.
So, I want to know, how many people in here have a little stress in their life? How about a lot of stress in your life? Is there anybody here who has no stress in your life? Because I want to meet you. All right, so the thing is that stress is kind of a dangerous thing. The CDC says that stress plays a role in 5 out of the 6 leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, stroke, lower respiratory disease, and accidents. An estimated 75 to 90% of all doctor visits are for stress-related issues. 75% of total health expenditures are for chronic diseases, and stress triggers most of them. Americans spend more than $2 billion on anti-anxiety medications every year. And hard-charging businessman Billy Sloan is about to learn that continued stress does inhibit one's memory. So memory. You know, as we start to age, I hear all the time from my friends, oh my God, I'm having a lot of senior moments. I'm losing my mind, I'm losing my memory. And I ask them to stop for a minute and see, are you having a senior moment or are you having a stress-related moment? Because what we do is we multitask, and we think that that's a really cool thing. We're doing 5 things at a time, and we have our keys in our hand, and we're doing all these things. Then suddenly we don't have our keys in our hand anymore, and we have no idea what happened to them. So we think we've forgotten. We didn't forget. We were never paying attention. So multitasking is one of the most stressful things you can do, and it's going to really mess up your memory. So stop multitasking. They've also shown that humor helps to improve memory. So my goal tonight is to make this fairly entertaining so that you can retain it, and also to give you a toolbox so that when you walk out of here, you have actual tools that you can start using right away to help reduce your stress. Okay, so it's very important to learn how to relax, Hagar. Doctors now believe that stress can be harmful to your health. So if you take a look at Hagar, he is experiencing what is known as acute stress. And what happens with acute stress is that your autonomic nervous system, think automatic, has two branches, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So with acute stress, the sympathetic, which is fight or flight, kicks in, and your body prepares to deal with the stress that's happening. Now, if somebody takes those arrows out of Hagar's back, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming branch where we heal, is going to kick in. And he's going to feel a lot better. Global warming, factory farming, whale hunting, seal clubbing, habitats disappearing, species vanishing, sheep cloning, ice caps melting. The problem with modern day society is, yes, we have acute stress, but even more than that, we have chronic stress. And chronic stress is kind of like pollution. We don't even recognize that it's happening. Have any of you ever flown into LA and you're flying in and you go, ooh, look at that ugly brown cloud. I don't want to be in that. But the plane lands and you don't see the brown cloud anymore. You're just walking around in it all the time. So that's what chronic stress is like. So it's breaking down the body continually, but we don't know it. And that's why most of the diseases that are killing us nowadays are due to chronic stress. So I was working with a medical doctor, and we kept talking about stress, and it's like, well, how do you even deal with this? If it's so amorphous, if we don't have any way to really see what it is that's causing me stress, how do we work on this? So we came up with an acronym, and we came up with, by examining our body, our environment, our attitude, and our thoughts, we can learn how to manage our everyday stress. So the first one is the B, and that's the body. And I'm not going to go into this in much detail because Debbie and Dani are going to give you a ton of tools on how to help your body. But there is one part of the body that I do want to emphasize. And in order to do that, I want you to not change anything you're doing right now. And as soon as I say that, you'll change everything you're doing right now. But I want you to become aware of where in your body do you notice your breath the most. Is it in your abdomen? Is it in your chest? Is it in your nose? Where are you most aware of your breath? Because most of you are probably going to say that it's in your upper chest. And that's where we breathe when we are in fight or flight. It's short, shallow, and rapid in our upper chest. And that's how most of us breathe all the time. So we're continually giving our body the signal, I'm in danger, I'm in danger. Something's got to change here. I've got to be safe. So the most important thing you can do is learn how to breathe. In my 5-week stress class, I give them a different breathing technique every week. So you can find one that really works for you. But I'm going to give you my favorite tonight. And this is simply called the deep abdominal breath. So do this with me. I want you to exhale and just allow your shoulders to relax. And if you want to, you can put your hands on your abdomen, but I want you to inhale and really push your abdomen out. Feel the breath coming out all the way into your lungs. And when you exhale, pull your belly in towards your spine and completely empty your lungs. So breathing in, pushing your belly out, and exhaling and pulling your belly in. Now, if you really want to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, you want your exhalation to be twice as long as your inhalation. So if we inhale to a count of 3, 1, 2, 3, we'll exhale to a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you just continue to breathe like this, your body's going to start to calm down. And what I love about the breath is that you don't have to pay for a gym membership. You don't have to pay for a class. You're never going to say, oh, I left my breath at home. I could really use it right now. You carry it with you everywhere. So when you're on the 405 and it's a parking lot and you're late for an appointment and your body's gearing up, I can't believe, I understand road rage now that I've lived here in LA. But you can just instead, remember, some of you are old enough to remember that commercial. Remember that, I could have had a V8. So you can go, I could be doing my deep belly breathing right now, and start doing that. And when you get to your appointment, you're going to be a lot more relaxed. So that's tool number 2. Tool number 1, stop multitasking. Tool number 2, the deep abdominal breath. Let's move on to the environment. Roseanne is calmed by the illusion of order. I want to know how many of you have a junk drawer in your house? A junk closet? A junk room? A junk house. Thank you. Right. Again, one of the blessings and curses of modern day society is that it's so easy to collect stuff and it seems so hard to get rid of it. And so we collect more and more. And what clutter does is it's constantly yelling at your nervous system. So it's like, oh, I can't find it. I know I had it over here. It was somewhere here. And I think it's in that pile over there. And someday I'm going to clean up that pile. What about that pile of magazines? Well, I'm going to read them someday. But they're dated 2012. Do you really think there's anything in there of value? So decluttering is going to be really helpful to de-stress you. Now, there's a woman named Marie Kondo. She wrote a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. If you want to take a deep dive into this, she's Japanese, and she is serious declutter. I mean, serious. And right now, for those of you who have Netflix, she's got a series on Netflix as to how to do it. So I usually tell my people to start a little easier. So let's say you can make a commitment to 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day, whatever you can do, and stick to it. And you say, for 15 minutes a day, I'm going to declutter something. And you pick the junk drawer, right? So you set a timer for 15 minutes, and you start to go through it. And maybe after 10 minutes, you're done, and you go, woohoo, I'm such a success. I can't wait till tomorrow and start something else. Maybe after 15 minutes, you haven't finished. You deal with what you dealt, close the drawer, time's up. Tomorrow, 15 minutes, you start on that drawer again. I guarantee you, if you make a commitment to 15 minutes a day, every day, in the end of this year, you're going to have a major win on your decluttering. So, tool number 3, declutter your home. What was her name? Marie Kondo, Kondo. And again, if you have Netflix, she's got this super, she's a little Nazi, I want to warn you. Pardon me?
She does townhomes also.
Oh, okay, good. So let's talk about ROSETO, Pennsylvania. In the 60s, they discovered this town. It was filled with poor Italian-American immigrants. They were smokers. They drank wine freely. They had a diet of pasta, sausages, meatballs, fried in lard. Doesn't that sound healthy? And they did back-breaking labor in slate quarries. But they did, in 1966, the ROSETO cardiac study. What they found was in this town, cardiac mortality dropped to near zero for men aged 55 to 64. For men over 65, the rate was half the national average. They ruled out genetic and other physical sources of resistance to heart disease. And they found that the crime rate and applications for public assistance was zero. This community took care of each other. So they studied this town and they came up with what they called the ROSETO effect. They found that the houses contained 3 generations of the family. They found that there were community rituals. They did evening strolls together. They had social clubs and church festivals. And they did all their daily meals were similar throughout the community. So Monday night was chicken in the pot night, and Tuesday night was sausage night, and Wednesday night was lasagna night. So they didn't have all this, well, what should we eat tonight? Like we do, like, oh, should we do Italian? Oh, maybe we should do Chinese. Well, we haven't had Thai for a really long time, but I'm kind of hungry for Mexican, and 3 hours go by trying to decide what you want to eat. It's all set for them. And also, there was a strong work ethic towards a common goal, which was a better life for their children. And here's where it gets interesting. Their children all went to college at a much higher rate than the national average. Their children all got really good jobs. Their children all bought single-family home dwellings with white picket fences and 2.5 children. And their children's cardiac mortality rate rose to the national average. There are two medical sociologists, Stuart Wolf and John Brune. They wrote a book called The Power of the Clan, and they examined from the 1930s into the 1970s communities that had low cardiac mortality. And ROSETO, Pennsylvania was one of the main ones. But what they found, and this is in the introduction to the book, and it really blew me away. They said that people are nourished by other people. Characteristics of a tight-knit community are better predictors of healthy hearts than our low-level serum cholesterol or tobacco use. Dramatic, right? So you need to look at, do you have community in your life? And where can you build community? Your church, your synagogue, your mosque, can you get more involved? Do people care about you there? When you walked in tonight, you met the vendors of Torrance Memorial. The vendors, we call them, but they're not. They're the people who offer the classes here. And I am so proud of them because they are like really top-notch teachers. But in addition to that, they get their people to bond. And sometimes I walk in, oh, don't cry. I walk past the room where the classes are going on, and there's so much love that comes out of them. The people care about each other. They go to lunch together. If somebody doesn't show up for a few weeks, they're calling to find out why. So take a class. We also have support groups here. We have a support group. Figure out what you're interested in and build a community around that. We have a support group called Eat Clean and Green. And Eat Clean and Green, it's a plant-based living support group if you're trying to move more towards plant-based. So it was Monday night, and one of the people came up to me and she said, oh, Vickie, I went to the learning garden this morning and it was amazing. So we even have a thing, if gardening's your passion, you can take classes in gardening. And if all else fails, you can go to Meetup, and Meetup has all kinds of meetup groups where we meet up together for similar interests. So see what you're interested in. And I was looking at it, and if you want to go and start a community on Mars, there's a meetup group for that. Just saying, you can find whatever you want. So, forming community, that's tool number 4 for you. Let's move to our attitude. The pessimist calls it a big gut. The optimist says, it's a spare tire. The pessimist says, I don't have a job. The optimist says, I don't have to go to work. So I love Willie. He can always find the silver lining in the cloud. But the thing that is, well, we've all heard about the idea of the cup half full versus the cup half empty, right? I came from a family that didn't see there was even a cup there. So this was one I've had to work on for years. And I finally found a book by a man named Bill Mayer, and it was called Master Your Questions, Master Your Mind. And in it, Bill says that our mind is like the search engine on a computer. Whatever question you plug into it, it's going to search and search and search and search until it finds an answer to that question. So if you have something horrible happen to you and you start pulling in victim questions, why did this happen to me? I can't believe this happened to me. This always happens to me. Why did this happen to me again? The mind is going to keep searching for situations where that will happen to you again, because that's what it's programmed to do. So in Bill's book, he has thousands of positive questions that you can start to plug in. And it can be challenging at first to turn it around. But what he says, the absolute most important question, is to develop an attitude of gratitude. And how do we do that? By asking, what do I have to be thankful for? And when do we ask that? Continually. Keep asking yourself, what do I have to be thankful for? What do I have to be thankful for? Because the way the mind works is that we are pulled into fight or flight from fear and scarcity. So if we're always seeing what we have to be thankful for, then the mind says, whoa, I have abundance. I am safe. And the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. Now, they recommend that you keep a journal, and when you go to bed at night, write down 5 things that happened that day that you have to be grateful for. And the beauty is, if you're writing them, it's actually reprogramming your brain through the physiology of writing. If you don't have time for that, when you go to bed, just as you're drifting off to sleep, think about 5 things that happened that day that you can be thankful for. And you're going to sleep much better. And I have had days where I go, sorry, ain't nothing that happened today that I can be thankful for. And then I think, Vickie, you have the softest bed in the world. And you have a down comforter that you just love. And when you get up in the morning, you're going to turn on a faucet and hot water is going to come out and relax your muscles. And you have a kitchen full of food to eat, and you don't have bombs dropping on your head. That's one of the biggest problems with our society. We have so much abundance that we take it all for granted. So start to tune into it. And if you're writing this journal, what's going to happen is throughout the day, you're going to look for things, because you're going to have to write something at the end of the day, right? And you're going to start to see more and more and more and more of what you have to be grateful for. That's going to kick in your parasympathetic nervous system and reduce your stress. So, tool number 5, develop an attitude of gratitude. Let's move on to thoughts. I regret the past and dread the future. That leaves me with a fleeting nanosecond called the present to be happy. Missed it. How many of you have recurring thoughts that go on and on and on and on, particularly at night, and they just kind of run you? Well, usually it's regretting something that happened in the past, worrying about something that could happen in the future that probably won't. And it's worthless thoughts going on. So the question becomes, how do we drop into that place of presence, of stillness, so that the mind isn't doing that? How do we work with the thoughts? So here's some tools for coping with thoughts. I'm not sure what's going to happen. No, that went backwards. Okay. Journal writing. We've already talked about journal writing and keeping the attitude of gratitude. Mindfulness. Meditation and guided imagery. Now these modalities have become more and more popular, and because of that, one of the kind of not great things is that they've all gotten mushed together. There is a distinction. I'm going to give you the Cliff Note version of the distinctions, but usually a lot of times when we're talking about mindfulness, we do mindfulness by pulling in our senses. If we become really aware of our senses, what is it that I'm seeing right now? What is it that I'm hearing right now? What is it that I'm smelling? What are the tastes in my mouth? How does my body feel sitting against this chair? That pulls you into the present moment. With meditation, we're more focusing on the breath. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. And a lot of times we want to put a sound to this. Because it came from India, a lot of times it's a Sanskrit mantra like soham, soham, soham. It means I am. But they found that we can also, if there's a quality you want more of in your life, as you're breathing in and out, breathe in and out that quality. Love, joy, something that you want more. And then guided imagery is where a lot of times people find it really hard just to sit breathing in and breathing out. So with guided imagery, we are using images to follow, because the mind thinks in images, right? If I say hand, you don't think, H-A-N-D. No, you see this, all right? So if I can use an image to take you through your body, to help it relax, to help you heal, that's a great way to come into the present moment, because it's the negative images that are causing us all this stress. So I'm going to give you a really quick mini version of this. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. If you're not comfortable having your eyes closed, there's no need to do it. It's just going to help you to do what I'm going to ask you to do. And if any time you're feeling nervous and you want to open your eyes, it's fine also. But what I'd like you to do, if you can, take an inhalation, deep belly breath, right? Exhale and let your eyes close. And I'd like you to now become aware of the sounds in this room. Just focus on everything that you hear. You could be more aware of the sound of my voice. You could be aware of the heating system turning on and turning off. Maybe you hear a high piercing sound. If you get really quiet, you might hear your heartbeat. But just focus on the sounds in this room. And then let that go and become aware of your breath. Once again, you're breathing in and you're breathing out. You're breathing in and you're breathing out. But now I'd like you to really take an interest in the breath. As you're breathing in, notice how cool the air is in your nostrils. And as you're breathing out, notice how it's warmer now. And as you're breathing in, notice how the breath reaches the peak and how it turns around so that you can breathe out. And when you get to the bottom of the exhalation, again, it turns around as you breathe in. And now breathing out. This time when you breathe in, I'd like you to breathe peace into your body. Think the word peace. And as you breathe out, just think the word calm. I'm breathing in peace. I'm breathing out calm. I'm breathing peace into my cells. And I'm bringing out calmness to the universe. And then let those words go. And I'd like you to imagine at the top of your head, there's a golden light. And you can see this light, and you can feel the warmth of this light. And it's going to travel through your body, and everywhere it travels, it takes you even deeper into relaxation, relaxing your muscles as it starts now down over your forehead, the back of your head, feeling this warm, healing light coming into your eyes, relaxing all the tiny muscles around your eyes as it comes down your cheeks, your mouth, your jaw, coming down your neck, your throat, feeling this beautiful warm light as it comes down your shoulders, completely relaxing the muscles in your shoulders, as it comes down your arms, past your elbows, through your wrists, out the ends of your fingertips. And then feel it coming down your back, relaxing your spine, the front of your body, your chest, your abdomen, your buttocks, your hips, your thighs, your knees, coming through your ankles and all the way out your feet and through the ends of your toes. Just seeing and feeling this warm, healing light moving through your body. And as you sit there, if there's any place in your body you're still noticing some tension, You can take a deep breath into that area, pulling this golden light into it, and watch that tension just melt and dissolve. As you exhale, it turns into a puff of smoke, and it leaves your body. And noticing again, any place of tension, nothing to worry about. It's just blocked energy. Taking a deep breath in, bringing this golden light into that area, feeling the warmth of it, melting it away, and exhaling into a puff of smoke. And so just notice for a moment now how you feel. Take another slow, deep breath in, and this time, as you exhale, I want you to gently open your eyes. And again, take note of how you feel right now. What we've done is we've activated the relaxation response. This is how easy it is to get into this place. And I want you to know that was 4 minutes. 4 minutes can bring you into this quiet. Do you feel the room? Do you feel how quiet it is? There was a lot of energy that came in out of that rain, let me tell you. So I've just given you more tools. I want you to play with this. So play with the mindfulness, play with the meditation, play with the guided imagery. See which ones work for you, work the most quickly. I've given you 9 tools to deal with. And Debbie and Dani are going to give you more. But I want to give you a final one just in case they don't work. This is my anti-stress kit. It says to place on a firm surface, follow the directions in the middle of the circle, and repeat until you are anti-stressed or unconscious. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Vickie. Our next speaker is Debi Robinson. She's a yoga therapist and health coach. She teaches 7 classes a week at Torrance Memorial and has been teaching classes here for almost 5 years. She specializes in stress management by teaching lifestyle and behavioral tools to her clients and students. She works with aging and injured bodies and empowers people to optimize their own health and wellness as they age. Here's Debi.
Hi, thank you. So he introduced me, and it's a lot of the stuff that's on my slides. I just wanted to expand on what is a yoga therapist, because I think a lot of us have heard of the word yoga and yoga teachers. And to become a yoga therapist today, it's a 1,000-hour training. And I did this training through Loyola and Marymount. And we're trained by medical doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, a lot of professionals. And we are trained to integrate in yoga with our other healing modalities with allopathy, which is Western medicine. And yes, he said, I've taught here for 5 years almost. In April, it'll be 5 years. And I'm up to 7 classes a week. And I love that so many of my students are actually here in the audience. And I love to see the benefits and also the conversations I have after class with people on how much this is actually really helping them. There's one comment I'd like to share is somebody said to me a few weeks ago that when I had contemplated maybe moving a time or a day of my class, she said to me, this is my number 1 priority in life, is doing her yoga, because she really sees the benefits that are happening and understands that our body and our mind and our health is up to us, and it is a use it or lose it proposition when we neglect ourselves. I wrote on there that I had the hip replacement, and all that did for me was that at the age of, in my late 40s, I lived in a body that didn't work, and I was a yoga teacher, and I couldn't actually do stuff on the floor. And so this concept that yoga means that you have to bend over and touch your toes, or that you have to be flexible. And it's really so much more than that. Actually, yoga is for the mind. And we work the body in order to be able to sit comfortably, to do the stuff that Vickie was explaining to you, the breath work, the meditation, the mindfulness. And it's important that this is what we live in. This is our package, our body, right? And it's hard to be happy and healthy when what you're living in is, shall I say, broken or damaged. It's very, very hard to show up to your life every day. And so I experienced that. And it just gave me this more expansive view of the tools and how yoga, mindfulness, meditation, all of this can actually really help you. So this topic is on stress, and we are here to give you a toolbox. We're speaking pretty quickly, and we have a short amount of time, but I believe you're going to take home the PowerPoint presentation, and so you can look, research. I have some slides at the end with some information and on Vickie's, and do some of this stuff, implement some of this into your life. And so my goal today is to do a brief overview of stress. Vickie's mentioned some of that already, but just to have an understanding of what that word means when she says that the CDC says that 70 to 90% of all illnesses are related to stress, and I believe the top 5 killers are stress-related. So, well, what does that mean, stress-related? Because I'm sitting there, what does it really mean? So she gave you a little bit, I'm gonna give you a little bit more as well. And then the why part is because the body and the mind are connected. And we're seeing that, or we're realizing that more today. There's a lot of physicians out there that are Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Mark Hyman. The term is lifestyle medicine, because many of the chronic ailments we're seeing today are lifestyle and behavioral related. Then we need to have the lifestyle and behavioral changes in order to heal ourselves. Very empowering. And so this component of the mind-body. And then the how part, the meditation, breath. And my part, the body, is to increase that somatic awareness. So to bring us from the here part, which is stress, right? The worry, the fear, the doubt, the scarcity, it's our thoughts. We're living up here, it's very light. I give a visual to my students or clients that's like holding all these helium balloons. Our thoughts are like helium balloons, and they just escape us. Well, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? And I don't have this, and I don't have this, and it's go, go, go. So the physical practice of yoga and coming into the body is that somatic awareness to bring you to this moment right now, right here. And when you start to feel your physical form, and that your feet are on the floor, and that your tushy's in a chair, you bring yourself here, and you take yourself away from, 5 years from now to whatever it is you're worrying about. Okay, so there's a article on Mayo Clinic's website, and it says that sitting is the new smoking. So for smoking for us for many years was what we avoided, and now sitting is the new smoking. So what does that mean? So one, it said there's less energy used. So if you're sitting around all day long, you're not standing up, you're not utilizing your muscles, there's no movement. So there's less energy being used. And typically, we have the ease of ordering Thai food and all the other things Vickie was explaining, so we don't actually have to make our food like we used to. It's easier to just get it. So we're intaking more. I'll leave the rest for Dani over there with the food. So less energy is used. And then number 2, muscular degeneration. Use it or lose it. So we're not standing up using those muscles, so that's happening. And then the last one was poor posture. And this poor posture position that we've all seen, I like to say the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is the extreme view of that rounded postural position. And what happens there is a muscle in our body that's attached to our lower spine, floats through the pelvis and attaches to our legs. It's the only muscle that connects upper and lower body. It's called the psoas, and it's about 16 inches long. And it is attached onto the lower spine. So when you're in this seated position with a flexed leg, then my psoas is shortened in order to keep myself in this position. So that can pull on the lower back, and it's a constant contracted muscle. The next curve up the back is where your ribs are, your thoracic spine, which can start to add to that rounded posture. And then limited lung movement, because if there's compression in the thoracic area of the body, you're less likely to get that expansion and contraction of the lungs. And the intake of oxygen and the outtake of carbon dioxide is one of the main ways that our internal environment maintains the blood pH, which is such an intricate number the body is trying to maintain. Very important to be oxygenated. More oxygen, better circulation, stronger immune system. It's all related. So with that said, you've been sitting for 45 minutes, which is longer than the 20 to 30. So just a brief standing up, please. Just in case I can't get this on. So I want you to reach up above you as if you are reaching from something that's maybe 2 inches higher than what you could get. So just stretch yourself, stretch, and go pretty slow here. Do the right hand up, and then the left hand. Bring yourself into your body right now with awareness. Feel your lower ribs pulling away from the top of your pelvis. Create more space in between your rib cage and your pelvis. That psoas now is lengthened, attaching onto your spine and your leg. All right, go ahead and have a seat. That was just a brief break. They do say that 20 to 30 minutes, every 20 to 30 minutes, we should take a break. And I'm always amazed that in my studies that I do, I was just in India this year, I was in India last year, and we are sitting on the floor for like 2 hours. I'm like, my psoas. So what is stress? We still pretty much stick with this term from the 1930s, and it's the movement away from homeostasis. The body is always trying to find the Goldilocks position, just perfect, not too hot, not too cold, not too hard, not too soft. The body is always trying to come back to Goldilocks. And the way that the nervous system, there's a perceived threat or danger or fear or scarcity, and then there's a reaction by the body, and then we adapt. So in one way to look at this, if you're going near something hot, you go near something hot, there's a feeling of heat, then you move away, you know that's hot. The next time you come to that, you will not go to that. So it's an adaptive aspect to us that we need for safety. So there's short-term stress, the acute stress. We have this happen, we learn, it keeps us safe. I want to talk here I teach yoga for osteoporosis here at the hospital, and I'm certified through Dr. Lauren Fishman. He's a medical doctor in New York City. And when he did our certification, he said, what we're really doing is we're causing stress. And I'm like, what? And so when there's 2 different ways we do this in the osteoporosis, we either do compressive stress or pressure, where we are weight bearing, we are pushing, creating stress in the joints or the bones, and that will cause the internal environment to look for more minerals and protein to build stronger bone. And the other is a tensile pressure or stress, where we twist. So when we do the twisting poses, the ligaments, tendons, and muscles are pulling on the muscle, which is telling the muscle, uh-oh, she's asking for more. I need to build myself to be stronger. So that's how the osteoporosis. And then the chronic stress is when it happens all the time and over and over and over. And eventually quite often the thoughts and everything begins in the mind, and then it eventually shows up in the body with disease. And it's really not the way we're designed. We're designed to go back and forth between the fight, flight, and the rest and digest. And there's a total body involvement with the stress response. I think this is where it gets important, is that you have the thoughts, the stimulation comes in, and then the brain is involved, the nervous system's involved, the hormones and the endocrine system is involved, and the immune system is involved. And when you look at many of the chronic ailments we have today, they are in that, they're all metabolic, and even that metabolic syndrome now is the new term, where if you have 3 out of 5 metabolic or markers in your blood, so metabolic syndrome, the metabolism is the inner workings of the body, and we're bombarding the inner workings of the body. Okay, so this is the way that I like to look at the thoughts. The senses come in through what we hear, see, feel, taste, and touch, right? That's what comes in at us all the time. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hands. That is what is giving us these signals. This stress signal comes from our sensory organs, and where it's coming in. And so I like to look at it like it's a horse, that if something is triggered in me, if I feel threatened or in danger, bam, then it's off. And there it goes. And when that happens, those senses, the thoughts, the race is on, the horse is galloping, it's a sympathetic branch. Here is an image of what the sympathetic innervation is. So here's the nerves that innervate these different aspects to our body. And you'll see the eyes, salivary glands, the heart, the digestive tract. Look at the digestive tract and how involved that is with that fight-flight response and the reproductive aspects of us. If I had the parasympathetic innervation, it would be less aspects. There's more there for that. And then this is an interesting graph here, and I termed it scarcity. They asked a group of people if you experienced this emotion yesterday. And here were the responders. They asked about physical pain, worry, sadness, stress, and anger. And there was this relationship between your socioeconomic status. So the people that were in the poor category, and in this case, the 2,000 or less per month was for a family of 4, which is actually considered under the poverty line. And then here with the wealthier 7,500 and above. And this just shows that for the poor, it just staying in the game, just being able to handle life. That's a stressor. So the sympathetic response is the horse galloping, and the last line here is that all of this is taking place when you have these thoughts. Your muscles are contracting, your heart rate is accelerating, your blood is moving to the muscles, the big mover muscles of the body, the quadriceps, the glutes, the big parts of you to run because you've got to get out of here. And you could be sitting at home in your sofa watching the news, and all of that stuff is happening in you. Your horses are galloping inside. All this stuff is going off. It's what you watch. It's what you hear. It's what you think. It's what you taste, touch, whatever. It's what you feel. You feel that you're safe and that Social Security will be there, that healthcare will be there. All of this contributes to what happens internally. And I could look at you and you could look really nice and calm, but inside there's so much going on. So I just wanted to raise awareness to that word. Stress is this internal physiological, biochemical, metabolic happenings. And so we have all of these tools and yoga. So yoga being that mind-body practice, meditation that Vickie taught us, and that self-regulation of the autonomic nervous system. That is that you choose what you bring in through the sensory organs, what you watch, how you think, how you move. Yoga to the rescue. So I have the B, the physical body. This is interoception, increases your inner body awareness so that you can have more sensory feel inside and know when you need to react or interact with your body. So with movement, with yoga, this releases those constantly contracted muscles. And I spoke earlier to the psoas muscle in the seated position. And when we do this movement, you stood up and you were actually moving and moving your muscles. It also helps to metabolize and deal with some of the metabolites and aspects of the inside of our body when our body is in that fight-flight mode. When the horses are running and the dust is being kicked up all over the place, it helps you clear all that dust. And it also teaches us how to modify our thoughts. And yoga is about energy management. When we are worried and thinking and all of that, our energy is leaving us. It's going away. And fatigue today is such a major complaint. A lot of people say they're tired and even like walking through quicksand tired. So there's energy being expended inside for all of those processes. The horses need to eat. So there's a lot going on inside, and that's contributing to that. And with yoga, we focus on bringing our energy back and bringing our awareness back. And relaxation is the key to healing. This is the part of the body This is the time when we're in the healing zone where we repair, we restore, we heal, and we reproduce. And even if we think we're past the reproduction phase, we still are making new cells all the time. I think the brain actually replicates itself every 2 weeks. We have a new brain. We're constantly replicating and turning over. So we need to switch into the relaxation place for that. Okay. So asana, which are the poses, which is what you all are waiting for, I hope, and think that that's what yoga is. And I will need that microphone. Is it on? Is it on? Hello, hello, hello.
Number 4.
Number 4. I don't know. I don't see a green light.
Hang on.
So since there's a lot of you, and there's a lot of space, if you could spread out so someone is not next to you, I'd like to do a little bit of movement where our arms go up. I'd like to do some postural correction and help to take that seated posture out. So you don't have to totally move, just scoot over so you're like half in a seat or over. Hello, hello. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. So I got it. So just, you don't have to move far. I just meant that if you're sitting right next to someone and your arm goes up and you touch them, can you move over just a smidge so that you're not touching them anymore? You don't need full arms out to the side, just a little bit. So come seated on a chair. I want to do some spinal movements and teach you about the 6 spinal movements, hopefully give you some tools with the physical body and ways that you can move yourself to get the stress out of the body. So I'd like you to first come away from the back of the chair. So pull yourself forward. And then if you're tall, like let's say above 5'8"-ish, and you're feeling a lot of contraction here in the hip, if you move your legs away from you, you'll minimize this joint here, the flexion in this hip joint. So the first few movements we're going to do are flexion and extension. So flexion is Hunchback of Notre Dame is what we see, right? And you all just got 5 inches shorter. So you know how we think that as we age, we get shorter? I don't really think it's not a lot of inches. There is degeneration of the discs, but it really is more about postural alignment and how we present ourselves. And in my yoga classes, when I'll give an instruction to get tall or to move, there they go, 3 inches taller. I'm like, see, you're back to your 20s. Yoga makes you young. So you're sitting forward here. You're going to take both hands onto your knees. And then you're going to sit tall and have your knees about hip distance. And then you're going to inhale, lift your chest up. Oh, wow, I heard the inhale. That's great. Now push your belly button to your spine. Push your lower back towards the chair. So push the lower back towards the chair. And then as you inhale, come back up. Now as you exhale, push the lower back to the chair. And then as you inhale this time, slide the arms so the elbows come underneath the shoulders. And then exhale, belly button to spine. One more time, we're going to come forward. The arms come, so the elbows come underneath the shoulders. Stay here. Now you can't see yourselves, but you're all proud bucks in the forest getting ready to chest butt each other. You're all so tall. This is a lifted feeling, lifted presentation. That's flexion and extension, 6 movements of the spine. That's the first 2. Now we're going to do lateral. We did a little bit of this when we were standing. This is good for those of you with lower back issues. Take your left hand up towards the sky and take the heel of your right hand, put your right hand on the chair. So push your right hand down on the chair to get nice and tall. Reach your left hand up towards the sky and then laterally bend over towards the right. So you don't have to go so far. It's not about how far are you going. It's just the fact that you're moving. Opening up the spine bones on the left side of the body. Inhale, take the right hand up towards the sky. Put the left hand on the chair. And then exhale over into this stretch. Inhale up. Now left hand comes up. Exhale over. And continue to do this with breath. Inhale and exhale. I will tell you that this lateral flexion move is probably one of the yummiest poses in yoga. And for those of you with the lower back, this creates space. It stretches the lower back muscles. So it's a nice little release. And then bring yourself back to center. That was lateral flexion side to side. Now you're going to take your right hand and put your right hand on the outside of your left knee. And you're going to get nice and tall here. Take your left hand behind you to get tall. So when we do rotation in the spine, we want to make sure that we're nice and raised. You're going to inhale, and first take your lower ribs over to the left. And then take your middle ribs over to the left. And then take your shoulders over to the left, and then your head goes a little farther. Most rotation is in the cervical spine or the neck spine. Breathe down to your belly, and then inhale here, and exhale to come out. Again, we're stretching those muscles of the lower back. Let's take the right hand on the opposite thigh, left hand on the opposite leg. Push into the chair, get nice and tall. And then start with lower ribs over first, then the middle ribs, and then the upper ribs. And then let the head go a little farther. And then take an inhale, and then come back to center. So that was 6 movements. Extension, flexion, lateral, lateral, rotation, rotation. Really nice to do these 6 movements whenever you can think about it. So now I ask you to move so you can put your hands up here. So both of your hands will go up like this. It's called goalpost or scarecrow. Now make sure that you're not wearing shoulder earrings. So drop your shoulders. And then make sure your elbows are lower than your shoulders. So this is not about how high you get. Now I want you to try in this position to see if you could round forward. Keep your hands where they are, but see if you're able to round forward. Now bring yourself, and then bring yourself back to center. Let your hands go down. Now try to round forward. Bring your hands back up and try to round forward. So what's happening right now is this. Stay there. Stay with your hands up, because now we're doing the muscular work. We're doing the yoga part, strengthening the muscles behind your shoulder blades that help hold you up, strengthening your posture, which is good for breath, which is good for happiness, because this position can lead to more depression and sadness, and this is more for happiness. So stay here. If there was a robe and I hung a robe on a hook, the robe would take a shape. If I was a robe and I hung myself on a hook, I would hang there like this. If I took out a hanger and I put my robe on a hanger, I would be like you are now. So think of this as your hanger pose. And try to find this. Yoga doesn't have to be done on a mat for an hour. It could be done whenever you think about it. Yeah, and I saw somebody over there putting their hand, there's strength there to that, right? Strengthening. So even if you're sitting and you need to sit for a long time, this is a way to expend some energy and to do some stuff. Okay, this next one is a really fun way to get rid of that pent-up energy that comes into our body when we have stress. So there's a sociologist, Robert Sapolsky. He is a neuroendocrinologist. He's a professor at Stanford University, and he wrote a book called Why Don't Zebras Get Ulcers? And what they found is that animals, especially prey animals, horses, zebras, when they are triggered and a fear response, they flee the situation. And once they find themselves in a safe place, they shake. And they get out of them all of the stress hormones it took to get them to where they find themselves. So this next exercise is a way for us to get rid of our stress hormones. Dr. Bhavanani in India is who taught me this, and he works at the Mahatma Gandhi Hospital, and they integrate yoga therapy into all the modalities in the hospital there. Gynecology, dermatology, ophthalmology. So this is how this goes. All right. So you all just stand up so that you in the back, you guys can sit down. Well, I mean, unless you want to stand up, you could stand up if you wanted. Yeah, okay, stand up. Ooh, this is fun. All right. I only have one hand to show you. You're going to use 2. I'm going to use 1. So go like this and go ha, 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 ha. Make it, feel right here in your body, the ha, ha, ha part. You feel a downward movement of your muscles inside. Ha, ha. Now take your hands, and right here in the middle of your body, right where your lower ribs are, ho, 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 ho. Feel that right here? That's your diaphragm moving. Ho, ho. It's like an exhale, 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 exhale. Stimulate parasympathetic nervous system. Now, he. Where do you feel that? Right here. He. Now we're going to go back to the me. Limbic brain, amygdala, fear. This is where the fear part of the brain, this is the emotional part of the brain that's responded. Oops. The emotional part of the brain here, the amygdala. So me. Now we're going to come to the front. Remember the old English, the, we're addressing someone. And also the could be somebody that's not me, right? Somebody beyond me. It could be something higher than, greater than. The. Okay, we do it 3 times each. Ha, ho, ho, he, me, the. The last thing, I'm gonna do it slow. Go is the last part with both hands. Do both hands, go. Let's do 3 rounds of that, okay? Give it your all. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ha, ho, ho, he, me. The, go. Ha, ho, he, me. The, go. Ha, ho, he, me. The, go. Keep going. Keep going. Go. Out to the sides, up to the top, out to the sides. Go. Stop. Close your eyes and go inside your body. Go inside how you feel. Go inside and notice what's happening inside. Notice your heart rate. Do you feel any tingling? And then slowly start to open the eyes. So the next time you're stressed, well, not tonight. Please don't watch the news tonight. Don't go home and watch the news. Think about what you're bringing into your body. But if you do watch it, ha, ho, he, me, the, it. So it is in here, in what it's right here. There's Robert Sapolsky. They're at Stanford. You can look him up. They're on my website there, and I have cards out there. I actually have this recorded for you, so in case you forget it. And then there's more slides at the end that you can look at for here. But I'd like to say thank you so much for listening to what I had to share. This is still on.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, our third speaker, I think this is closer to call all 3 of them demonstrators here, is Dani Rodriguez-Brindicci. I hope I got that right. Dani is a level 3 registered dietitian nutritionist, that's a mouthful, with a master's degree in food and nutrition science. She's been at Torrance Memorial for almost 7 years. Been in the health and wellness industry providing nutrition counseling for over 15 years. She holds advanced certificates in adult weight management and specializes in bariatric and geriatric nutrition. Dani has been a resource for multiple media publications and often contributes to the online nutrition blog on the Torrance Memorial website. Here's Dani.
So hi everyone, thank you for coming tonight. I feel very lucky to be last because now I am completely relaxed. I was a little bit stressed out about this talk, but now I'm feeling very at ease with all that breathing and moving, so we're good. So I have a quick little video, it's just a few minutes long, that I thought I would show you guys. It's about stress on our bodies, and I think it's a great way to visually see what's kind of happening. It's very quick and short, but I thought it was very cute.
Cramming for a test? Trying to get more done than you have time to do? Stress is a feeling we all experience when we are challenged or overwhelmed. But more than just an emotion, stress is a hardwired physical response that travels throughout your entire body. In the short term, stress can be advantageous, but when activated too often or too long, Your primitive fight or flight stress response not only changes your brain, but also damages many of the other organs and cells throughout your body. Your adrenal gland releases the stress hormones cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. As these hormones travel through your bloodstream, they easily reach your blood vessels and heart. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat faster and raises your blood pressure, over time causing hypertension. Cortisol can also cause the endothelium, or inner lining of blood vessels, to not function normally. Scientists now know that this is an early step in triggering the process of atherosclerosis, or cholesterol plaque buildup in your arteries. Together, these changes increase your chances of a heart attack or stroke. When your brain senses stress, it activates your autonomic nervous system. Through this network of nerve connections, your big brain communicates stress to your enteric or intestinal nervous system. Besides causing butterflies in your stomach, this brain-gut connection can disturb the natural rhythmic contractions that move food through your gut, leading to irritable bowel syndrome, and can increase your gut's sensitivity to acid, making you more likely to feel heartburn. Via the gut's nervous system, stress can also change the composition and function of your gut bacteria, which may affect your digestive and overall health. Speaking of digestion, does chronic stress affect your waistline? Well, yes. Cortisol can increase your appetite. It tells your body to replenish your energy stores with energy-dense foods and carbs, causing you to crave comfort foods. High levels of cortisol can also cause you to put on those extra calories as visceral or deep belly fat. This type of fat doesn't just make it harder to button your pants. It is an organ that actively releases hormones and immune system chemicals called cytokines that can increase your risk of developing chronic diseases, such as heart disease and insulin resistance. Meanwhile, stress hormones affect immune cells in a variety of ways. Initially, they help prepare to fight invaders and heal after injury. But chronic stress can dampen the function of some immune cells, make you more susceptible to infections, and slow the rate you heal. Want to live a long life? You may have to curb your chronic stress. That's because it has even been associated with shortened telomeres, the shoelace tip ends of chromosomes that measure a cell's age. Telomeres cap chromosomes to allow DNA to get copied every time a cell divides without damaging the cell's genetic code. And they shorten with each cell division. When telomeres become too short, a cell can no longer divide, and it dies. As if all that weren't enough, chronic stress has even more ways it can sabotage your health, including acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, headaches, muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. So, what does all this mean for you? Your life will always be filled with stressful situations, but what matters to your brain and entire body is how you respond to that stress. If you can view those situations as challenges you can control and master, rather than as threats that are insurmountable, you will perform better in the short run and stay healthy in the long run.
All right, so let's get started. Today I wanted to talk about how to personalize your diet for stress management. Now, we've talked a little bit about with Vickie and Debi about meditation, deep breathing, our thought processes, exercise. All those are great and wonderful, but I'm going to talk about food and how to eat well and how it can reduce our stress. So quickly, you saw the video, and I'm just going to summarize these next few slides because we don't have enough time and it's getting late. But you saw how stress can affect our adrenal glands, and it can release the stress hormones, which can affect the inflammation in our body, which eventually it can lead to chronic inflammation, which can lead to chronic illness. So I felt that it was important to talk about not only about reducing stress, but also about that impact on our body and what we can do to help that inflammation within our body, how stress impacts that. So we heard a lot about fight or flight, and I think we all understand that, a little bit about what that term means, right? So our body is hardwired to react to stress, and in ways meant to protect us, right, from predators. But now, in today's day, we don't have any predators, but we do have quite a bit of stress. And that process is still happening, which leads to those hormones being released. Now, if stress persists, which for a lot of us here, it does persist for days, months, years, it can increase our appetite. It can motivate us to eat. And usually, it's not motivating us to eat vegetables and good foods. It's motivating us to eat what? Fat and sugar, right? So what does that lead to? Well, those high cortisol levels, those high hormones, high stress hormones can also lead to increases in abdominal fat and weight gain, which leads to more stress. How does stress relate to inflammation? Well, it's a pathway from stress to inflammation to chronic illness, and it's not always very easily understood. How does that all connect? What's happening? And we made it kind of seem pretty straightforward in the cartoon and our talks, but it is a very complicated process, and really trying to understand how it's really affecting us in the long run. What is inflammation? Inflammation is a good thing in the short run, right? We get a bee sting, we get a cut. Our body responds by helping us to fight that infection or help us to protect against harmful bacteria or anything that might harm us in the long run. Unfortunately, this same healthy process that helps our body fight infection can also become out of control when we have that chronic stress. This chronic inflammation is basically an internal fire that silently destroys your body. It's the root of practically all chronic health conditions. And there's 4 sources of chronic inflammation. Number 1, foods and lifestyle factors, right? That's stress. The foods that we're eating, chronic stress for sure. Infections, environmental toxins, all of these can impact our body and lead to chronic inflammation. Well, why is that bad? Well, a lot of our chronic diseases that a lot of individuals die from, those top 5 CDC causes of death all of them are related to chronic inflammation. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, digestive disorders like IBS, depression, all of these are related to chronic inflammation. So now that we're even more stressed out about our stress, what are we going to do about it? And it's not so easy, right? I went online and I Googled stress, inflammation, and it was overwhelming. It was scary. There was anywhere between 3 million to 500 million websites just dedicated to these topics. So where do we start, right? All of us want to improve our lifestyle. All of us want to eat healthier and reduce our stress. Was it a quick, easy find? No, it wasn't easy. And I can tell you, just recently on the radio, I overheard them talking about how last year in 2018, one of the number 1 searches on Dr. Google for symptoms of issues with health, one of the top 5 was stress. So we're not alone. Everyone's worried about stress. We're all dealing with it. No matter what the issue is that the stress is the cause of the stress is, we're all kind of dealing with it. So I tried to find valid things that we could avoid to kind of reduce our stress, and there really wasn't any particular easy find in terms of modifying our diet, but there were things that definitely were proven to cause chronic inflammation that would increase the stress in our body. So I thought, let's focus on those and start off with what foods we should definitely avoid. You want to start? So I want you guys to tell me what you think these top 3 culprits are, okay? All right, here we go. What's this? Sugar-sweetened beverages. So some of you threw them out. I heard those. So what are these? Well, they're in a lot of things, right? There are those sweetened juice drinks. There are the sweetened teas, the carbonated beverages with sugar, added sugar in them. There's the flavored waters, energy drinks, sports drinks, alcohol with added sugar. And I don't have it up there, but coffee drinks. How many of us like our Starbucks and coffee bean? I'm sure a lot of you do. Lattes, mochas, frappuccinos. We're having our coffee, right? We don't think of it as a dessert or added sugar. We think, I'm having my coffee. Now, the USDA recommends that we limit our sugar to no more than 30 grams per day. Max, 30 grams. Now, if you order a latte or your mocha from Starbucks, how much sugar are you getting in that one coffee drink? Anywhere between 30 to 60 grams of sugar, just in that one. What about like Jamba Juice or Robux or any of those? Who likes smoothies in here? How much sugar is in those Jamba Juices? A lot, right? Anywhere between 60 to 90 grams in the regular size Jamba Juice. And again, we don't think of it as having added sugar, but we're having a lot. And we don't even think about it. Most of us in here don't eat cake and apple pies and cookies every single day, but a lot of us do drink sugar in a lot of our beverages, and we just don't even realize it. So this is a great place to start, where we can start kind of becoming more aware of what we're drinking and how much added sugar we're having in our diet by looking at that label, becoming more aware. Look at the serving sizes. That's the first place you should look at when looking at that label. Is it the whole bottle? Is it half the bottle? You know, how much sugar are we really taking in? So become more attentive to these labels. They're there for a reason, right? And more than anything, it's the added sugar. So looking at the ingredients. The ingredients are there from highest concentration to lowest concentration. And a lot of times, a lot of these foods, or especially the drinks, beverages, have multiple forms of sugar. And we're not even realizing it, right? So start becoming more aware, reading those ingredients, seeing what's in your beverages. Now, a lot of individuals say, well, what about juice? Well, 100% juice is definitely a great source of nutrients. It's got lots of vitamins and minerals, so I'm not gonna turn you away from that. But definitely limiting it to no more than 4 to 6 ounces per day. More than that, it's definitely not gonna be better for you. So limiting as much as you can. The better option, whole fruits and vegetables. It's got the same amount of vitamins and minerals, but it has the added benefit of fiber. So we want to make sure we're getting most of our vitamins and minerals from our whole fruits and vegetables. All right, what's the next one? Oh, actually, no, I have one more. Again, I want you to visually understand how much sugar we're drinking, right? Would you sit down and have 5 donuts? Probably not, but we'll easily drink it in a sports drink. Or would you have those, what are those, the 15 cookies or 12 Oreos? I wouldn't do that, I don't know. Anybody here with 15 Oreos? Probably not. But in comparison, you're pretty much having the same amount of sugar. So again, think about what you're doing. All right, what's the next one? We're gonna use pretty much, I hear it. Saturated fat and trans fats. Right? We've all heard this term before. It's not a new term. We've all heard it, but we're not changing our habits, right? So we want to become aware. Obesity, saturated fats, trans fats, and not enough omega-3 in our diet. All of these have been proven to increase inflammatory biomarkers. There's lots of research showing that this is, for a fact, will increase inflammation in our body. Saturated fat triggers fat tissue inflammation. And the top 2 sources of saturated fat in the US, pizza and cheese. Those are the top 2 sources in the US. These are definitely indicators for heart disease and worsening of arthritis inflammation. So it's a little thing you can do to help you reduce that inflammation. Trans fats, they're definitely known to trigger systemic inflammation. The top sources, fast food, processed snack foods, cookies, donuts, crackers, you name it. Start looking at your labels. It's there. But sometimes it'll say on the trans fat section, it'll say 0 grams. Does that mean there's nothing in that product that has a trans fat? No. Unfortunately, you have to read the ingredients. You have to make sure you look for partially hydrogenated oils. Hydrogenated, that word is what triggers for you to know, hey, this item has a trans fat. Unfortunately, if it has a very minimal amount, it won't record it. It won't say more than 0. So you have to kind of become an aware consumer and know what you're looking for. you shouldn't be having this anyways, right? You shouldn't be having the processed snacks and the fast food on a regular basis anyways. So become more aware. All right, what's the last one I'm going to go over? There you go. I heard it. Processed meats, definitely. Big no-nos. All right, well, why are they a big no-no? These include what? Hot dogs, ham, bacon, sausage, canned meats, and some deli meats. I think a lot of us already know that this group of food is a group 1 carcinogenic. This was in the news a while back. These have been proven in over 800 studies to be linked to cancer in some way. It's not some like myth. It's not out there. So we really want to become aware of what's in our food and what we're having on a regular basis. Any process that includes salting, curing, fermenting, and smoking, this alters the molecules of the food. It can alter. It has added preservatives, and it can affect our body. All of these have been proven to increase inflammation. And just recently, there's been some research even linking it to type 2 diabetes. It's about a 20 to 30% increased risk if you're having these processed meats. All right, so is this you? Are you having these foods? Are we having these sweetened drinks or these processed foods or snacks or any of these? What can we do? How can we reduce our stress? We've learned some great techniques about how the breathing techniques and our thought processes, but what can we do with our food? All right, well, then I searched that. Was there an easy solution? Is there foods that will reduce your stress? What do you think? Realistically, no. You have to relax. You have to learn to meditate and do other things. But there are foods that can reduce inflammation. So that internal stress on your body, yes, definitely. There are things you can do. But in terms of reducing your mental state, not really. There's temporary things you can do, definitely. There's immediate and there's long-term effects of those foods, but there is no quick solution, right? We have to make those gradual changes in our diet. So I wanted to go over some of the ones that I felt were a little more, there's a little more evidence behind them in terms of their benefits, and that I felt would definitely help with reducing stress, but more importantly, help with reducing inflammation. So it helps, these stress-busting foods I'm going to go over help to uplift your immune system, they lower blood pressure, they reduce the stress hormones, and they boost our levels of serotonin. Number 1, magnesium. Magnesium, if you are low in magnesium, that's been linked to more headaches, fatigue, poor concentration. It compounds effects of stress and GI distress. It's even been shown that if you are stressed, it can actually deplete the magnesium in your body. So some of the magnesium-rich foods that you can add back to your diet or kind of focus on, spinach, salmon, green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds. These are all rich in magnesium. This is a small list, right? But these are the ones that are highest. Vitamin C. Not only does it reduce levels of stress hormones, but it can normalize your blood pressure, reduce cortisol levels or normalize them. It can strengthen the immune system. So what are these foods that are rich in vitamin C? We all know about citrus fruits, but there are more. You can do kiwi and guava, bell peppers, green leafy vegetables. Again, those vegetables won't go away, right? We want to have that color in our diet. We want to eat the rainbow. We want to have a good variety. All right, what about omega-3 fatty acids? We all know this one, right? This is not a new thing for us, but definitely there's lots of research. It's been proven that it's going to help fight inflammation. It protects you against heart disease and mood disorders, even depression. The foods that are high in omega-3, I think we all know about salmon, tuna, mackerel, the fatty fishes, right? But you can get omega-3 not only from the fish, fatty fish, but also from your vegetables as well, and a lot of other foods. Walnuts, ground flax seeds, dark green vegetables like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, spinach. These are all rich in omega-3. So having, again, a variety in our diet. You can do a plant-based diet and still get your omega-3 from your diet. So make sure you're having a good variety. Also really interesting, I thought, that the salmon, that pink color, that comes from an antioxidant called, I can't even pronounce it, but astaxanthin, I think I said it right. That's been shown to actually lower chronic inflammation as well. So there's a lot of those added benefits. Those antioxidants really do quite a bit to help your body become a lot stronger. complex carbohydrates. They're not evil. They are meant to have a lot of benefits and a lot of roles in our body. It promotes the brain to make more serotonin, that happy hormone, right? And not only is it going to produce more serotonin, but it's also high in fiber, which stabilizes blood sugar. It provides sustained energy. So what are these complex carbs? Whole grain breakfast cereals, oatmeal, whole grain breads and pastas, starchy vegetables like sweet potato, yams, green beans, green peas, corn. All these are high fiber and provide a lot of added benefits to your diet. How much should we have per day? In terms of fiber, I want you guys focusing on 25 to 30 grams per day. And I can tell you that most individuals in the US only get about half of this. So it's really difficult to get enough fiber in our diet. But it's a great way to really help us to reduce that inflammation. Now, another carbohydrate that's also been shown to reduce stress, simple carbohydrates, which are what? The cookies and the candy. They definitely have that immediate rush of serotonin. You feel better for a little bit, right? When we're stressed, what do we go for? We don't go for, bread and oatmeal. We go for candy and cookie. Like, I feel better now. Chocolate, whatever feels at that moment, right? And you do feel temporarily a little bit better. But in the long run, not so much. You have that immediate crash. You're increasing inflammation. It just increases that stress level. So we really want to make sure that we're kind of planning ahead and we're focusing on that overall healthy, balanced diet. The last one for stress-busting foods, tea, right? We all know the benefits to tea. They are rich in antioxidants. One of the main ones is the catechins. Those have been known to fight inflammation. The top two that are known to have high concentration of these catechins are black tea and green tea. Lots of research showing that within 4 weeks, you can actually reduce inflammatory biomarkers and improve that chronic inflammation in your body. So there is, besides just the benefits to weight management and feeling better, that warm fluid, there's also an internal benefit as well to helping you reduce that inflammation. That's good, right? So how does stress impact our eating patterns? We know a lot of us eat poorly when we're stressed out, but it also leads to a lot of mindless munching, right? When we're stressed out, we kind of munch on things, we graze all day long, then we gain weight, and then what do? We go on a crash diet, causing more inflammation in our body, more stress on our body. We'll consume fast food, or we'll skip meals thinking that'll help us. We'll forget to drink water, and we'll drink too much coffee because we want to stay energized, we want to keep going. All of these things do what? Lead to more issues, right? More inflammation in our body, more stress. So make sure you look at the overall big picture. If you want to change your eating patterns and change your food intake, look at what the issues are and figure out where can I start? What small change can I make? Some quick tips for you guys to manage your stress eating if that is an issue for you. Make sure your fridge is fully stocked with healthy options, right? Low-fat proteins, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates. The more well-planned you are, the better it is. Because when you're stressed and you don't have a good option in your kitchen, what are you going to do? You're going to go for that quick, easy, convenience food, processed food. So planning is everything. Time your meals. Timing is everything. Because when you're stressed, you might forget to eat. You might forget that you already ate an hour ago and you're eating again. So having a timeline and having space between your meals, drinking that water really does make a difference. Journaling, aside from journaling positive thoughts, journaling your food. Becoming more aware of your grazing behavior or the mindless munching. The more you journal, the more it helps you become a little bit more self-aware that you are stress eating, and maybe that will stop you from picking up that cookie or picking up that pastry, right? There are great websites and apps that make it really easy to track your food intake. I personally love MyFitnessPal. I've been using it for years, but there are tons of them. There's Lose It, my Daily Plate. There are tons. If you have a Fitbit or any of that has a tracker as well. So start tracking. Start learning about what your habits are. And that's really going to help you get a little better handle on your eating. Eat at regular times during the day. You should be having 3 meals and 1 to 2 planned snacks. Increase your fiber content. Again, the whole grains, legumes, vegetables, and fruits. Slow down and relax at mealtime. Share it with family. That social environment really does make a difference. Sitting with your family and friends really helps you to engage your mind and be more aware of what you're eating so that you're not kind of mindlessly eating and not feeling full ever. So really make it a celebration. Enjoy the taste of food. Eat when you're hungry and stop when you're satisfied. Don't eat till you're stuffed because it won't make you feel any better. So just be a little bit more conscious of that. And the candy will not make you feel better. So just a reminder of that. Cut down on caffeine. I think we all know this. A little bit of coffee is good, but a little bit too much is not so good. So instead of the coffee, have that black tea, have the green tea. It's going to have less caffeine, and you'll probably feel a lot better after having the tea. Stay hydrated. Drink water often. Water can help curb your urge for coffee and also for stress eating. So really make sure you're having enough water in your day. Yeah, don't do that. And if you have gained weight, listen to your body, get more active, follow that healthy, balanced diet. If you need more help and you need more guidance, please talk to a food nutrition expert, which should be me, a registered dietitian nutritionist. And we have a whole team of them over at our outpatient offices. So if you wanted to meet with somebody and talk to them more about your diet, about your stress eating, and make some changes, and you just want more education, please let us know. Give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you. If you want more information about where we're located, what programs we have available, we have a lot of programs that are offered to help you with changing your eating habits, losing weight, whatever your goals may be. If you go on our Torrance website, we have the nutrition and weight loss section, and that has a lot of great resources on there. This is also where I have the blog. So we have articles about eating healthy, about different things going on during the year. But we also have a lot of recipes, a lot of plant-based recipes. So if you wanted more ideas about how to introduce more vegetables and healthier eating, please visit the website. There's a lot of great resources on there. I'm sorry? The website? It's torranceMemorial.org. And just look for under health and wellness for nutrition section. And it's right there. Yeah. And the blog is right underneath. If you scroll down, it just says blog. And you'll see it right there. All right. So thank you so much. I hope I covered everything as quickly as possible. Thank you so much.
Okay. We are about to take a short break. You know, before we do, I want to do one thing. I want to thank my wife because I'm watching all these slides we just saw, and I realize how much good food she puts in front of me. I don't always eat the stuff, and sometimes I'm picky, but I just want to tell you, Tony, thank you. We're now going to take a short break. Please, we have members of the Miracle Living Committee will be coming around with pencils and papers. If you have questions, here comes one now, and those will then be collected, and our panel will address them after the short break. Thank you. Okay, we have, let's see. Actually, I'm going to start. We've got, maybe it's because Dani went last, but we have more questions that clearly are in your bucket than the others. But you have a couple of people who asked, let's see. Is there much difference between wild salmon or tuna and farm-raised salmon or tuna? What are the differences, and does it matter?
I would say I would definitely encourage anyone to go for wild caught. I think it's definitely a much better option for health reasons. The farm-raised salmon, it's just the health conditions that they're under and the increase in infection and bacteria and all that. I think it's just for our health benefits, you're probably better off going with wild caught. That's a simple answer.
Okay. What is the truth about grains and whole wheat, etc., regarding gluten and possibly causing inflammation?
It's a big question right there. As I always tell everyone, It's not a simple answer. Unfortunately, everyone's system is so different. There is no clear-cut answer, and until we can really do further testing, or we can see exactly how sensitive you are, or if you really have that reaction to gluten or any of those inflammatory foods, it's really tough to tell you, okay, cut it out completely. Is there an actual potential that you might have a sensitivity to it? Definitely. And I think it's important to be aware of our bodies and kind of track our symptoms and see if it helps you. Talk with a dietitian. Say, these are my symptoms. This is what my goals are. And maybe talk about modifying your diet. In terms of me telling you, everyone here, not to have gluten, no, I'm not going to do that, because there's a lot of benefits to having whole grains and whole wheat. So it just kind of depends on the individual and their medical history and their inflammatory diseases that they might have. And then we can kind of address what type of diet they should be on. Does that
Okay.
answer the question? Yes.
I think so. Let's see, for Debbie, this is obviously for you. How does chair yoga increase your muscle strength?
So that's a great question, and I think that when I taught a chair class for 2 years, and I felt that I strengthened my upper body more in that chair class than my other classes. And so yoga, the yoga that I teach is yoga for aging and injured bodies, so I'm not doing crazy stuff that you would typically see out there. And the weight-bearing component in those classes, if you're on all fours or you're in a plank pose, you're using upper body strength. But when you're in a chair class, you can actually, even today, some of you might experience that. I saw a facial expression on somebody, like, when he finally came out holding up, because it's still weight-bearing. There's still resistance against gravity when you're holding your body up. So there's a lot you can do in a chair, and you could even just do some standing up and sitting down. Which is very hard to come from this low to standing up. So you can actually do a lot of strengthening in a chair.
Okay. Are there any health benefits come from consuming daily goat milk or goat cheese or kefir? I'm not familiar with the word.
I just talked to her. It's really more of a preference when it comes to the goat milk. I mean, a lot of individuals are avoiding dairy just because of some of the research showing that it's possible allergen. But in terms of added benefit, it really just depends on your personal preference. There is I don't think, an added benefit to it, besides the fact that it's a little bit easier to digest than cow dairy. So it really is more of again, that preference.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have a guided imagery class and meditation classes?
Yes. So let's see, I had to write this down. I teach it, but I don't know when. The meditation class is 2 days long, 2 nights, March 13th and March 20th. And the guided imagery class is going to be April 24th through May 8th. So, at our 3105 building, which is a 1/10 of a mile down the road, it's not as far as the specialty center. People say it looks like a warehouse because it is in the back. But that's where our classes are, yoga classes, our Tai Chi. A lot of the classes are there.
Okay, back to Dani again. What oils should I use for cooking? And she lists several. I'm guessing it's a she. Canola, olive oil, avocado, coconut. What's good, what's bad?
Actually, if you go on the Torrance Memorial website under nutrition, there's a great article that we did last year for Heart Healthy Month. And I actually went through each individual oil, and we did an outline of the health benefits, the research, how much per ounce, I mean, you could name it, and the boiling point. It had everything on there. And it really does depend on what you're cooking. I mean, because you can't, obviously, for example, avocado oil or sesame oil, they're not meant for frying. And there are a lot, avocado oil has tons of benefits. I mean, it's been shown to lower inflammation. It's been shown to help with heart disease, but it's very expensive. Olive oil, we all know there's tons of research behind that, showing the benefits for that, and that still holds true today. Coconut oil, it really depends on who you ask. It's definitely still a saturated fat, but they say that it's a little bit different how it's digested. I still beg to differ in terms of the research. It's not 100% proven either way. So I would say any of these oils in moderation, right? In terms of fats, you always want to have them in moderation. But definitely if you want more information about each individual one and how to use them and their benefits, I would go on the website and look up that article. It's a great one.
Okay. I'm not quite sure who this is for, so everybody dive in if you feel the urge. Is intermittent fasting a good thing?
Jeez, you guys. Again, with those, Dr. Google, it was one of the top 5 searches last year, fasting. And, I have researched it quite a bit to see if it does have some benefits, and I have seen a lot of potential for it. But I think it depends on, again, that individual person and whether they can follow it and be effective with it. I think it's not so simple as just say, I'm going to do fasting and then they pass out or they have some health condition that puts them in danger. So please make sure that if you are going to follow one of these diets, that you do talk to a professional and have somebody kind of monitor your diet, make sure you're getting enough nutrition and enough of the balance of the nutrients you do need. Because a lot of these diets, a lot of these fad diets come and go all the time, right? So they all seem like they've been here forever, but there are these that just come and go. So make sure you look into them. At the end of the day, the number one choice is a healthy, balanced diet that you can stick with and that works for you.
So if it is something you're really interested in exploring, there's a man, Dr. Walter Longo. He's done a lot of research at USC, clinical research, and he's written a book, and I don't remember the name. But if you Google Dr. Walter Longo, and he has a book on exactly how to do intermittent fasting, and he's proven there's a lot of advantages to it, but as Dani said, you really need to do it with a good program, not just, well, I'm going to not eat for 2 days. And
especially if you have, again, if you have medical conditions that can put you in danger, you're on medications, please don't do it just out of nowhere. Make sure you research it first and talk with your doctor and see if you can get a dietitian to help guide you through that process, because it'd be a lot safer.
Okay. And I think the last two are still with Dani here. She got into food and can't get people off of it here. Are sprouted grain breads a healthy option?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad option. I think definitely there's the added fiber, less processing, so I think it's got potential, and I think it's part of an overall balanced diet. It definitely is a good, healthy option.
And this is the last question. It looks like it's someone that would like to try green tea, but is, I guess, asking the question, is there any kind of data that says it can upset one's stomach, make you ill?
I'm not aware of any data or research showing how, I think anything with caffeine has potential for upsetting your stomach and increasing the acid in your stomach, so that's kind of, it's a given. If you're sensitive to it, you're definitely going to feel discomfort after drinking it. So if it does happen to you, or you feel after drinking it you don't upset stomach, I wouldn't drink it. There are a lot of more options out there that you can try as alternates. You don't have to have the green tea for the benefits. Like I said, black tea also has those catechins, antioxidants that also help. So there are a lot of teas that will give you that added benefit.
Okay. Thank you. We've had, I think, a very educational panel this evening, and let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, folks, and good night.